Kemar Saffrey is making a positive difference in the lives of people who become homeless. He started the Barbados Vagrant and Homeless Society in 2009. This charity focuses on rehabilitating affected persons and helping them to live productive lives. But who is the man behind this charity? Keep watching this episode of We Bajans to find out more about Kemar Saffrey.
Well, I think Kemar is an honest young man that's trying the best to help people.
Well, I think Kemar is very giving. He's also very subtle. The way he deals with the customers that come to us. Saying a word of prayer is always a great way to start, which he does every time we're here. So I think it's great to have Kemar because not too many people do stuff like this. So Kemar is actually a blessing right now.
Kemar is a good person.
Kemar Saffrey describes himself as an entrepreneur, a youth activist, a motivational speaker, philanthropist, and a minister of the gospel. But he is most famous for founding the Barbados Vagrant and Homeless Society, something he decided to do after he received a spiritual awakening.
As I always told people before, I never really cared for the homeless. When I was coming to school, when I was in school, I used to let them do push-ups for $1. I used to let them do stupid things when I was going to school. So it was never like, some person said, this is my childhood passion, to always help homeless. It wasn't. When I became a Christian on the 4th of October, Miss Andrea Harris Women of Excellence had a crusade in town. And she had Donnie McClurkin and those come in and they were, preaching. And it was like, who want to accept Christ? And I was down there and I said, I'll accept Christ. And then I would have gotten the full, I want you to deal with homeless persons. I want you to go into this ministry and start to work with this vulnerable population of persons. And it was like, well, I was over here making some money. So, and then here, I want you to give up everything to come over here. And I was like, seriously? And then I just went in. And as I went in, it still wasn't a strong passion. It was more of something which came clearly from the Lord to do. So as I develop into the whole homelessness and I start to speak to the guys on the streets and then they start to move into different houses with me as I was the first house manager. And I lived with them for like a year. So living with them for that entire year, it then opened my eyes to a lot of things that these guys go through while being on the streets. And then I was like, And then one thing that God showed me was the vision of how these guys would turn out. So I would go down the road and be walking and I was like, a guy look like Andy, like a glimpse of his future. And then after the program, he would actually turn out to look like the person I saw, probably the same job. So, when one of the things we saw was the rehabilitation graduation. We had the first ever graduation for homeless, and that was mind blowing because these guys came out decked out in Kate Shepherd suits and Free Custom gave all the vans for these guys to be escorted, and that was amazing because we didn't expect these guys could actually turn around to be, handsome gentlemen, all got a job, all got a house to live in, all got accounts, bank accounts and identification card, and everything was just flowing for these guys.
Everyone's journey begins somewhere. So let's rewind to when Kemar Saffrey was a boy.
I'm originally from Jamaica, but I grew up here in Barbados. I was here from the time I was about 7, 8. I went to school at the Vauxhall Primary School. I was living around the Sergeant Village area when I first came here. Then I went from Vauxhall to St. George Secondary School. Never did the university level till about a couple years ago when I went and did the NGO management course at the university open campus. In terms of the family, it was only myself, my other 3 brothers and my mom, so single parent taking care of 4 boys. She was a bit of us tricky, or a lot of us tricky. So in terms of getting back home at a certain time, school children couldn't pass before you. We were boys, so she had to make sure that we were, getting things done on time and not straying off into the blocks or into the different areas. So we always had to be, if she called, you got to be inside to receive the call, or when she come home is, lakes. So she was a real strict mom in the way how she ran us. So in terms of me being on the block is a no-no because I gotta be at home waiting for a phone call.
When Kemar finished secondary school, he went straight into the world of work. He eventually got restless and moved from job to job. Somehow Kemar desired more. So when he got his first business opportunity, he immediately capitalized on the chance, a decision that jumpstart his career as a social serial entrepreneur.
First business I actually got into was security. A guy had asked me to do security at an event, and I said, okay, I'll do it, you know. And he was like, this is my last job. And I was like, you know, okay, cool. And I got the contract and I started to work it. Then I started to do all the Barbadians Music Awards. I did that for about 5 years, did a few other shows. And then I said, okay, that seems good. And then, you know, trying to expand in it. But I never did the placement of security guards in places, I only did shows. And then I went into cleaning business. I used to work at a restaurant and my job was to clean the kitchen every day. And I was like, you know, I'm getting good at this. And I said to my boss, I'm getting too good. I think I'll go start my own business now. And I get up, start my own business, and I was cleaning over 130, 140 something businesses. And just all around cleaning, and it was just kitchen. So it was never the general cleaning. So I found niche markets. Again, when I did the security, it was niche. At that time, it didn't really had much persons doing just shows. It just had people doing staunch security, and I was using a lot of police and soldiers to do my events. So people was like, police and soldiers on their off, they're doing my security, cool. And then I found that going into the studying the cleaning business, there was no one really doing kitchen cleaning. They were the general cleaners. So I did that, and then I got a call from Barbadians Youth Business Trust. That time Marsha Brandon was running it. And she said, you know, come, you know, get some funding, expand, you know, buy some equipment, buy a vehicle. And I went and they gave me some loan to help me boost the business and what's not and give it the image it needed to be given, and then give me a mentor. And then it blossomed from there. Got an award for from Harvard University. I couldn't make the trip at that time because I fell sick, so Ms. Brandon collected it on my behalf. And then I started to win a lot of awards surrounding business. And then I went into business. Then I went into. I'm a person that don't like to keep still, so I ended up going into, like, you know, having my own salon and having my own restaurant. Owning 4 ice cream parlors on the island, and just anything I could get my hand on in terms of doing it. But the whole idea of all the businesses was not to work them, it was just to create them for people that they could work it, and that it could be some employment for young persons. So within my organizations, there are like a whole bunch of young people just working and in management position.
One of Kemar's biggest accomplishments was winning the Commonwealth Youth Award for Excellence in Development Work in 2012. He was one of 4 young persons to win.
But I got a call from Miss Marsha Brandon, and she said, you know what, they have this award given away, and I'm going to nominate you. I said, okay. I didn't see it as a big thing because I didn't know what it entailed. So I said, okay, she's a custom nominated me for everything else. So I said, okay, go ahead. And then I got a call, you know, saying, you know, asking me questions over the phone, and I'm walking about in town, and these is like a panel, but they're where they are, where I am, and they're asking me a bunch of questions. And I felt that I answered all the questions so stupid because I was just walking around in town doing my business. I didn't know who these people were, but they said calling from the Commonwealth. I didn't even understand the Commonwealth. I didn't know the Commonwealth. So again, I think I was just answering the questions based on what they said. I was answering truthful. So because I didn't know anything, they asked me if I knew what the Commonwealth was. I said no, and I got that call, and then they said, okay, thank you, we'll get back to you. And one night I was in my bed, about 2 o'clock in the morning. I was the Spirit Lord saying, you know, I want you to get up and just worship with me, you know, just pray to me and stuff like that. And I was like, get up so early in the morning and worship and pray. I mean, let me sleep. And then I said, okay, fight it off. And then I got up and I worshiped and I was praying and stuff like that. And then I got a letter. The morning I got up, went to work, checked my email. I got a letter saying that you've been shortlisted as one of the 16 chosen out of a couple thousands of people to receive an award. And I was like, 16? Okay, cool. Still don't understand the whole concept of the award. And then another week later, I was in my bed again at they said 2 o'clock, and they gotta get up and worship with me, pray with me and stuff like that. And I was like, again? And then, not fighting it, got up and I worshiped and I prayed again with the Lord, and got to work the said morning again, and I saw email, you're one of the 4 finalists that will be receiving an award, and you'll be meeting with Her Majesty the Queen.
According to Kemar, it was quite an experience going to London to meet the Queen.
When I went there to England, then I had the opportunity to meet her with her in what you call a green room, and have the opportunity to shake her hand, her husband's hand, ask about the organization. And it was went to church with the husband, I think it's West Abbey Ministry. And it was a full prestigious 2 weeks of my life, meeting with high commissioners and diplomats, the ministers in the Prime Minister's office, and I didn't know who was who, but it was very high level. But we got a private room with the Queen, alone, separate, because it was the signing of the Charter, which is a historical moment as well. It was a humbling moment to have met with her, to really speak with her about the organization, and to see the amount of young people that was in there that they put in that room, because I think when I counted, it was about 25 of us, and to really meet with her and talk with her and her husband and the other diplomats that were there. That was thing, and that we could actually got that moment away from the person that were really ranked higher than us. To have that moment was really phenomenal for us, and it was a humbling feeling to have met her. Yeah.
Kemar believes everything he achieved has been through the grace of God, and he never forgets to credit his strong relationship with the Almighty. I
think that from the time I turned to Christian in terms of accepting Christ, there's always been what I call a freaky relationship between me and God, is that I can hear him very clearly, and nothing that I ever heard didn't come to pass or hasn't come to pass yet. But I could say 99% of what I've heard, even in terms of my marriage being on the said date. I remember God said to me, you could never ever get a child out of wedlock. And that was freaky, because I was out there doing my thing before, and and not always protective. And sometimes lady girls would say, yeah, I feel pregnant. And I was like, because you believe in what God was saying, and I started to get a little bit more serious with my Christian walk in terms of, because I was realizing that the things that were happening, that God said that would happen, were really, really happening. And I was like, well, there got to be a purpose that God got me here for. So let me not, mess up my life. Where I am today is without education. Left school without CSC, was double bad boy at my school, whatever they want to call me at that time. But I left school without anything. And then I came into a world of work with knowledge and wisdom beyond my own. And I owe that all to God, because every day and every time I pray, I say, God, I ask you for your wisdom and your knowledge and your understanding, because there aren't none. So if people ask me if I read books on leadership, no, I didn't. If people ask me if I watch videos, no, I don't. Because God, one thing God told me is that, He will give me all the wisdom and the knowledge that I needed. So I'm a listener. I go into sessions and that's how I learn. So I've never been one to say I read books, because I hate reading. I would drop sleep in the first line, and I've always been a person that I would listen to the Bible or would think, but my walk with God is one of a very prophetic walk in terms of how I hear God and what I do for God. And as I said, I can see my organization or my life at the point, but I can never see how I will get there. I can always see it from here to there, but never in the middle. So in the middle is the faith and trust in God to get where He said He would position me.
And that concludes our look at the remarkable life of Kemar Saffrey, as this edition of We Bajans come to an end. I'm Shamko Pillay. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.